Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Breaking news, WABC.
So what is going to happen with Iran? President Trump telling PBS, of all places, he said that if the deal is not made, that a lot of bombs will be going off. He's also telling Fox News that. And you just heard from Bill O'Reilly saying that Trump will get tough if the Iranians don't come to the table. The deadline is supposed to be tomorrow night. So what's going to happen? Well, let's go to former Deputy National Security Advisor for President Trump. We love her, KT McFarland. KT, this is Rita. We also have Judge Richard Weinberg. We also have Tony Carbonetti with us. And in Vegas, the lucky man always is in Vegas, John Catsimatidis. KT, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, I think we should ask John. What are the Vegas odds something's going to happen?
Yeah, John, what do you think?
Well, I think the Iranian style, and maybe I'll defer to KT. The Iranian style is delay. Yes. They might get a Democrat elected, so they're going to try to delay till November. I don't know what's going to happen, and I think it's smart for them. It's smart for the people that are left that are pro war are very few in Iran. So they have to decide who's in charge. My opinion.
No, and that's the key. Who's in charge? We're not quite sure who's in charge. Is it the guys who are doing the negotiating, the foreign minister, parliamentarians, the civilian leadership, or is it the Revolutionary Guard? And remember, the Revolutionary Guard isn't the military. It's not. So there is an Iranian military, an Iranian army. That's a professional army. That's not who the IRGC is. The Revolutionary Guard was sort of stood up. They initially weren't a professional army, but they were stood up to protect the mullahs. And since then, they've taken on a life of their own. They're corrupt. They own an enormous amount of the defense industrial base. It includes the intelligence services, the Basij, which are these volunteer thugs who go around on motorcycles to enforce women wearing headscarves and beat them up if they don't. So who's in charge? We think it's probably the thugs. Because on one hand, you had a deal a few days ago, and then the deal was broken. Today, you had firing on some ships. Iran's firing. The United States is firing. I think we are now in a really dangerous is the wrong word, but a white knuckle period, and it's going to go on for a week or probably 2, maybe even 3. I do think Bill O'Reilly's right. The president is not going to back down. He's going to, bombs away starting either Tuesday or night or Wednesday, and he's going to go after they're not civilian sites, they're dual-use sites, so they're legitimate targets under international law. And my guess is that whoever may be going to the negotiations on the Iranian side, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's slipping a list of names under the table to say these are the guys who are holding out. Might not be a bad idea to take some of them out, period.
Well, that's the thing. Like, who wants to be the leader right now? This new guy, KT, that some people are talking about, this IRGC commander, right. His name is Ahmed Vahidi, and he was the guy who oversaw the slaughter of the protesters. It was close to Soleimani, who, of course, luckily is no longer with us. And also was in charge of this attack on a Jewish center in Argentina where 85 people were killed. So how does this shake out if suddenly the quote more reasonable ones are being overridden by somebody like this?
Well, he doesn't make a deal. He's going to go down with the ship, and yep. He's going to be. And the terrifying thing that we should all recognize is if this man had. And his wing or his cohorts had their hands on nuclear weapons, they would be prepared. They blackmail the world, And they'd either use them or they'd use them as blackmail to get whatever they wanted. So it's extremely important that President Trump prevails and destroys Iran's nuclear weapons and nuclear weapons capability, not just for a couple of months, a couple of years, but for decades. And that's where it goes. I think that it'll get worse before it gets better. But I do think at the end that the United States will prevail. I think there'll be more targeted killings of senior leaders. Obviously, they're going after some of the defense, and not only defense, but industrial base in Iran. And eventually, the hope is that cooler heads will prevail, or somebody will come out of the rubble to say, okay, enough is enough. I want to make a deal.
Yeah, let's hope. Judge Weinberg.
KT, good to talk to you as always. Isn't this an argument based on your analysis that if Trump does do something tomorrow or Wednesday, he should be going after the economic interests of the RGC and as well as taking out their leadership? He has to undermine them so that the so-called cooler heads, the more moderates, and I'm not even sure there are such a thing as moderates there, but that there's least of a chance, because as long as they're in control, you'll never have peace. They'll continue to terrorize the world and destroy their own people.
Yes, and Judge, it's an important point to make. It's not just to take look, are there moderates in Iran? No, we've been looking for moderates in Iran for 47 years. There are the crazy guys and the even crazier guys. But if the president can target not just the IRGC, like the Houthi and others, but their economic interests. So they own, it's as if the U.S. Army owned all of, they owned Raytheon and they owned Boeing, and they owned all of the major defense industrial companies, throw in Palantir as well. You have to also target those so that Iran doesn't have the ability to resupply itself, but it also doesn't have the ability to have this group of, the craziest of the crazies have their hands on all of the power. It'll eventually be okay. It's just going to be a really terrifying couple of weeks, and it's going to, I think the markets will go nuts. The price of oil will go up and go down, and gas will go up and go down. But at the very end, I think the United States prevails for a number of reasons. First of all, a lot of clients and purchasers of oil are going to say, the Middle East is just too crazy a place. I'm going to go buy American. I know I might have to pay a little bit more, but I know it's a safe place to buy my energy. But I do think that at the end, it's the coalition between the United States and Israel and the Gulf Arab countries that will be the dominant powers in the Middle East, and hopefully there's somebody in Iran who wants to do a deal, or Iran could well break into civil war where they fight amongst themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. If they rise up within, I mean, that would be an amazing situation. Well, KT, thank you very much. Boy, it's going to be an interesting next day or two, especially with all this news. KT, we appreciate it so much.
Thank you.